Hey, welcome to Catching Up with Property. I'm Scott Yip and we have Pauline today.
Hi.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about my journey going from lender to broker.
So I know, Scott, you have had a colourful history in banking, lending, pretty much everything in between. So tell everyone now, what are you doing? What is Scott Yip doing in 2023?
In 2023, yes. Bit of a colourful career, predominantly mainly in banking and lending. Did venture out and do my own little online business type of thing. But in 2023, I've decided to take the leap from lender to broker. And I've just launched Yippee Finance.
So wait. You quit your job.
Yes.
You quit your banking job. When?
In May this year,
Wow.
2023. Yep. And we've just launched Yippee Finance.
Amazing.
Yeah, so Yippee Finance is there to help all our clients and all our customers and future clients and customers in terms of their property journey.
Yep.
So it's your first home, your investment portfolio, or wanting to buy non-traditional assets.
Yep.
We're here to help.
And why did you decide to go into the mortgage brokerage?
Yeah, so good question. As a lender, when you're working for one bank, you're prescribed, you're pretty much given rules based on that one lender's risk profile. So they will tell you, hey, you can do XYZ, ABC, you can lend to this person or not that person, or you can lend to these people in these conditions. And that's one lender. And what I found was working with the one lender, you'd probably have a good amount of customers that maybe didn't fit that risk profile of that lender. So going out as a broker, you have a panel of lenders. So with the panel lenders, each lender has a different risk profile, has different rules, has different risk tolerance. So where one lender may not accept a situation and another lender may accept it. The other thing why I've decided to go from lender to broker is with that risk tolerance, different lenders will have different borrowing and risk appetite. So for example, lender A may want to lend you $300,000. Lender B may want to lend you $350,000 and lender C may want to lend you $400,000. Mm-hmm. So depending on the client's scenario and the customer's situation, would have to fill that out.
And you've obviously used all your industry knowledge from, how many banks have you worked at now in your career?
Three in total. So predominantly St. George at the beginning of my banking career. Yeah. And then took 12 years there. So call center, private bank, relationship manager. And I took maybe about a 3 or 4 year break and then jumped back into banking and lending. Worked for a small bank called Australian Military Bank, where they predominantly obviously look after our defence personnel, special benefits for defence personnel as well. And then jumped back into one of the majors with Westpac.
So Yippee Finance, tell us more about how you started the company as of 2 months old, 1 month old?
Three months, yeah. So it started so I resigned in May 2023. And the last 3 months has really just bring that to fruition. For those at home probably thinking, everybody can be a broker. There's a few levels before you can become a broker, even coming from, as a lender, somebody with experience and who has their own lending authority. Westpac gave me my own lending authority to certain clients. Yeah. There's still a number of things we need to do. So one would be accreditation, qualification, and then also registration. So bit of a journey in the last 3 months, and then you've got your brand and marketing, bringing that to life as well.
Tell us, what type of scenarios can you help as a mortgage broker? As
a mortgage broker, it's quite wide and deep in terms of what we can do. Usually we maybe break that down into 3 sections. So the first one is your loan. So think of first home buyers, refinances, investment property and investment strategies. So if you're wanting to build that portfolio, it's really to get your finance broker on board so they can help you map out the next 2 or 3 properties you're wanting to acquire. The second one is really thinking about asset types. So typically when you're buying property, you are thinking about
houses, apartments.
Correct. Townhouses, villas. Yeah. But in actual fact, property is a little bit more wider than that. So you think of units. So not just one unit, but maybe a flat. So maybe Art Deco unit has 4 units in it or 6 units. That's something a broker can help. Some lenders may not accept it, but there are other lenders that will accept that type of security. Think of boarding houses, high yield, okay, but also a lot of lenders may not accept it. And there's probably a handful out there that will accept that type of security and investment type. Think of shop top, so shop at the bottom, housing at the top. Think about commercial warehouses, industrial properties, office buildings.
So these are what you call non-traditional
assets. Oh, they're kind of traditional, but they're not mainstream when you're thinking about lending, right? Or building your property portfolio. And you might get to that point where you want one of these assets. And just off the top of my head, maybe think about NDIS. You know, there's a lot of talk about NDIS. So NDIS properties also produce a very, very high yield at the moment. That's asset. And then the third one is probably, you know, your structure. So, you know, if you're buying a property, it could be in your name or in your partner's name or you and your partner's name, or it could be you and your mum and dad's name. So that's personal name.
Yeah.
But there's also other structures. So predominantly you're looking at company, trusts, and the last one's self-managed super funds. So people may want to purchase in a self-managed super fund. Again, mainstream lenders may not have that product. In the past they did. They removed those products, and there's probably some lenders out there that would help you with a self-managed super fund in terms of lending to acquire property, and also the ability to maybe acquire commercial property in your self-managed super fund. So they're the three
main scenarios.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Back to how you can help with your new business. How can you help business owners with getting home loans now that you've kind of explained to us about the 3 different scenarios?
Look, business owners I would consider them almost like the lifeblood of Australia. You know, I think the stats is like 92% of Australia is made up of small businesses. And typically, if you know any small business owner, most of them are time poor, working long hours in their business, trying to create a great lifestyle for their family.
Hustling
hard. And when they need to borrow money, typically you need to show your financials.
Payslip,
tax returns, that type of stuff. Your company tax returns, we need to see what you're profiting, what you're making, what you pay yourself, that type of stuff. And if you went to a mainstream bank, typically you need to use financials to use tax returns. Other lenders may have alternate ways of assessing that income or verifying that income rather, which may be a lot more easier. So typically in the industry, there is full doc. That's when we're asking for all your documentation, all your self-employed and tax returns. Everyone knows about low doc if you're in business, but there's another version called alt doc, which means where a lender is asking for alternate verification methods. And some of those could be just simply your bank statements plus an accountant's letter signed, and that can verify your business income. So in terms of business owners, that usually is an easier option. Obviously, there's risk and reward, different ways of assessing different interest rates.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. I personally did not know that. Full doc, alt doc. So I've noticed, and I'm sure your listeners have noticed as well, that you keep on using the word lender, not banks. So can you give us your opinion on that? I like it. I like the word lender.
Yeah.
Less scary than the word bank.
So traditionally, you know, if you wanted to get your loan, you'd go to your bank. And so everybody would say, I got my loan with my bank.
Yeah.
But stepping into the broker side of things, we have bank lenders, and then we also have another section, which is non-bank lenders, right? So they're not banks, but they just lend. They've got the funds and they just do lending only. And they have different risk appetites as well. So lender is probably more universal rather than banks.
Yeah.
No,
I like that. So how can Yippee Finance help the whole process, like make it easier for someone like me, for example, with, you know, not a lot of knowledge about banks or lending, full docs, alt docs? How can you make it easier for someone like me and the rest of your listeners?
Yeah, well, look, it's very simple. So we start off with a phone call, understand what you're wanting to do first, what your goals are, short, medium, and long-term goals. And then we go into, hey, what are your options?
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way to go into it, rather than, hey, give me all your stuff and then we'll assess it and then I can tell you what you can do.
Yeah.
I reverse engineer it for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does sound easy. So you do all the research for the right home loans or lender's loans.
Correct.
You do all of that.
Correct. So once we get enough information from you, we'll be able to assess and take a look at which lenders are available to you for your purpose. But part of that is if you are thinking about a property portfolio, it's also important to think about your strategy. So you don't want to blow out all your borrowing power in your first property, right? So we want to strategize for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Future proof.
Correct.
So if I'm a customer now, I'm interested. You have sold it to me. And I email you at Yippee Finance, Scott at Yippee Finance. Tell me how you would start the process of helping me obtain a loan for my traditional asset or non-traditional asset. Like, tell everyone how the process would look like. Like, do you charge me a fee straight off the bat, or are you free?
The first thing is I'm free. Some brokers would charge a fee. I don't charge a fee for it, for your research and mapping out as well.
Yeah.
The process, what it would look like is we triage that for you in that process. So one, how much can you borrow? We figure out how much you can borrow. Which lenders will lend you the amount. So basically, which lenders will lend you that amount, the asset you're wanting to buy, which lenders will lend for that particular asset, and 3, which lenders will accept the structure you're wanting to borrow in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you also explain the risks and the pros and cons.
Yes.
Before, because obviously I have to make the final decision. Correct?
100%. So typically would go through a first phone call. If you're feeling okay, then you complete an application. You'll supply some documents for us to assess. Once we assess it, we kind of give you a number of options of lenders. We'll explain to you those lenders, the goods, the bads, points of those lenders, and then you'll choose. If you'll choose one of those lenders, if you're happy to proceed, then we go ahead and submit with that particular lender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You make it sound so simple. I can't believe you're free.
1, 2, 3. I think part of lending, people come to you and people think it's just one dimensional. Like, I'm here for this problem and solve this problem. And you probably hear it a lot. What I'm saying is strategy is because a lot of people come to you with this one problem. I need to buy this house now. I need to buy my first home now. And then you ask them, well, what do you want to do next? And they say, hey, I want to buy an investment. And people think very one-dimensional, like, I need to do this and this is it. Whereas I feel like Yippee Finance is more multi-dimensional. We kind of think about your strategy.
Or for someone who, like me, again, who don't even have a strategy, you can actually get them to think outside the box of
Correct.
The traditional, I want this, you can provide me with a service, end of service.
Yeah.
So Yippee Finance, in a way, can follow you throughout, follow through a customer's entire property journey, not just buy one property, that's it.
100%. Nail on the head. And then the other thing is, Yippee Finance, the name Yippee Finance, you're probably saying, yeah, Scott, Yippee. But I also feel like, we need to celebrate our milestones. Being in a bank, I feel like we don't really celebrate those minor milestones, whether that be, saving your first deposit, buying your first home. Those are exciting moments, buying your first investment, or doing your first knockdown rebuild. They're massive milestones. And I feel like we need to celebrate that. Yeah. And that's why Yippee.
Yeah.
Yippee. Hey, this is Scott and my friend Pauline here.
Hi.
Thanks for watching Catching Up with Property and listening to my journey going from lender to broker. Stay tuned for the next episode.